And okay. Again, that was at the beginning. Things weren't as organized as we would have liked. That particular presentation did not go well. But I think that if we did it that way again, it would be fine. It's just we're a little premature with it.
That session right there, that you would, if you were to do this again and it was more streamlined, are you pitching the idea to the members at that point? Or are you saying interested in doing it? Like, do they think that they were doing the documentary, or do they know they're the subject of a documentary?
Yeah, we were very clear that we were looking for people who had stories to tell, and that it would be a project with a professional documentary producing nonprofit as well as students.
Okay.
So we were really asking, and of course everyone, sat, like wallflowers with their, sat on their hands and said, "Oh, my life's not very interesting."
Right.
Which of course turns out to be complete ridiculousness.
And for those who stuck with this to think that maybe they did have a story to tell, did they all get selected? Were there enough students that would able? Okay, so it's not maybe you would get picked. It's if you want to go through with this, there's a way for you to do it.
Right.
Okay.
We've done 3 for each session. Yeah.
Okay.
And I see Christy keeps waving her hand.
Sorry. I was just curious about what the documentary nonprofit did, because it sounds like the high school kids and their class were doing a lot of the legwork. I wasn't sure what role the nonprofit played.
So they are, the first part of that is that they did a workshop on storytelling for our village members. They also, the students in this media program, it's a high school course, it's an advanced course, but it's not professional level. So the nonprofit is able to bring in professional award-winning writers, producers, videographers to work with the kids to develop their approach to it. So it really is an extra learning opportunity for the kids as well.
Yeah, that's great that it's a benefit for both.
Yeah.
And I actually,
but they don't do the work. Only the kids do the work. So what you see in the end is the kids' product.
But that also, I also had a question for you and Kate both with the memoirs. How the group that met about storytelling, I wasn't sure if she was bringing in some expertise. Like how do you lead a group like that? Did you have, I know you said you had some people who just seemed to be natural storytellers that you met. Did you bring in?
Like Doug, a lot of people didn't think they had a story to tell, so I had to, I did lead those events, so I should disclose that I was there for those events and led them, not as a way to teach them how to do it, but I did hand pick each time. So I said, 2 people, will you be ready to tell your story? Are you writing a story? And so I think we had about a month's worth of, we had 10 people that every week showed up, or whatever it was, we had about 10 people who ended up developing stories. And they kind of, they're adults. I'm used to working with high school students, but they're like, I forgot my assignment. But they took it pretty seriously. And I just was clear of like, do you want me to read it out loud? Do you want to read it out loud? Do you want to just tell it? And just sort of beforehand had a little session of how do they feel most comfortable. They were so, at that point, they're really willing to go for it. But I would say most people enjoyed listening to the story.
Thank you. I can see where there might be some people who are shy but want to hear other people's stories. And did your group grow over time at all?
We had to bring, they didn't grow in listening, they grew in telling. So a couple of people who were who said, I only am here to listen, by the end, we're starting to say, well, maybe I do want to share or tell or read from. That grew. But we also kept it short. At some point, we were going to keep going, throughout the year on this program. It's like, nope, let's just keep this around the winter, and we'll have a sort of, if I were to do this again, a start date and an end date, so that, doesn't feel indefinite.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Kate.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm in the transition network, which was started 20 years ago by women who are just over 50 and wanting to talk about the transitions in their life. Now we're ready to talk with have an intergenerational conversation with women who are younger than 50. From any of you, what are the topics that you think would be a hook for this younger group?
Can I ask, is this on Zoom?
Yeah, it is.
And you're asking what is the hook to?
What are the hook of topics to engage the younger women, the millennials?
I mean, for us, our biggest topic, we've tried we tried race and identity and environment, and I think gardening seems to be a great topic right now. From showing your own backyard what you're doing to seed swaps to tricks of the trade, how to grow vegetable. So
Interesting.
perfect.
And what have any of you experience has been in this, the number of people that can be on a Zoom and still have it effective? I think there are about 50 this morning, aren't there?
Yeah, hi, this is Jenna. I'm with Capitol Hill Village in DC.
Hi. Yeah.
And hi. And you know, as for the size of groups, I think that's a really good consideration. If it's a Zoom and you can take advantage of breakout rooms.
Yes.
Certainly kids are used to that. Younger generations are used to that with school and breakout rooms. And sometimes you just need small amounts of people to really connect with each other. If it's a large thing like today, 50 people, you know, some people are not going to be paying attention. I was one of them that was kind of half dividing my attention in the main sessions. But yeah, small is good, you know, because if a person is, say, not as extroverted, is more of an introvert, they're going to feel way more comfortable when they're just with 3 or 4 other people. I'm a real extrovert, but my heart really goes out to introverts of all ages, children and midlifers and elders, because not everyone is really comfortable in big group settings. So it's nice to be able to accommodate shyer people or just people who are more introverted by making the format not as causing angst. Oh, I have no idea why I just turned pink. Okay.
That's helpful, but do you think the combination of this large screen with lots of people and then go into breakout rooms are you saying that the larger group is not effective?
I think it's not effective for younger groups because they are so used to that in school.
Okay.
You know, it's like, oh, this old hat. Oh, I don't have to pay attention because I'm only one of 50 people on here. Nobody's going to notice that I'm not paying attention. So I would not spend very much time in a big group at all. Get those individual interactions going early, you know, and people like choice, right? So like if you can say breakout room 1 is going to be about gardening, breakout room 2 is going to be about life stories, breakout room 3 is going to be about, you know, pets or something. That way people can choose which room they can go into, right? And if there's 3 choices, give people a chance to go to one and then pick another, like give them so that they're not just stuck in one room. I would get choice is good, but you don't want to give too many choices. You know, if you have 3 groups, let people choose 2 of the 3. There's a wonderful resource I'd like to tell you all about. If you're going to be doing Zoom type events intergenerationally, I would like to turn you on to Chad Littlefield. He is a guy who's business is making virtual events more impactful. He's very old school. For example, he has all these little short videos and tricks of the trade. Like, let's say you want to get everybody's attention. Don't just use a PowerPoint slide. Go like this. Have something written here and say, so here's the poll question. Boom. And people start leaning in and looking in to see what's on that Post-it. I mean, that's just really old school graphic design, right?
That's great.
But I loved going to his things because they were always snap popping. There was things happening. Someone's at the front door. Oh, good, they got a key. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I opened the front door. I'm the receptionist here. Okay. But
Jenna, can you
Chad
just-
Littlefield, it's called making virtual events.
Virtual events, and it's chat. And
Chad, CHAD Littlefield. He's written a book.
I'm sorry,
He
I
has
didn't
a-
get his last name.
Littlefield.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
I can put it in the chat. I just happened upon him during the pandemic, and he was like on fire with ways to make your virtual events attention grabbing and making you want to stay. And he has things like icebreakers, but he calls them something else, things like that.
That's
If
great.
you're gonna do a virtual event, invest like half an hour time, just sort of seeing the kinds of things he recommends. A lot of these things he gives are just freebies, and the YouTube channel. He was for a long time doing like a 2-minute or 3-minute little YouTube tutorial on like one idea, one hook. But I've used some of his concepts working with volunteers, and they really took to it. You have to be a little different on Zoom because we've all been to so many of these. So you want to try and find a way to make your event stand out in some way, and I think he can help you with that.
Thank you very much.
Other questions or comments for some of our presenters or each other? Jenna, I'm sure Chad has a secret to how do you get people? I think one of Chad's outcomes must be turn yourself pink and you grab everyone's attention.
Wendy, were your village did the pen pal, correct?
Yeah.
And did you guys increase your membership through that program? Was that kind of a no? Okay.
No, it was a program for members. We started it about a year ago. It was as we were all sort of quote coming out of COVID and looking for things to do, but people weren't necessarily super comfortable with getting next to each other. So it was a great program. We promoted it, I think, at our Thanksgiving Christmas party. The initial sign up. And I think maybe Noelle wasn't surprised. I was blown away by how engaged our members became. I mean, this was not just a one-off for any of them. They loved it. They loved the communication with the students. They loved the letters going back and forth. When we did the tea outside, everybody showed up. The kids and the pen pal, basically paired off. It wasn't like the kids stayed together and said, oh, we're on recess. And the older adults they paired off. They all walked to different parts of the yard to sit down and have one-on-one conversations that it was hard to break up when the kids had to go back inside. The kids were still connected to their member. So for me, it was really a remarkable connection that was made.
And so again, I asked Doug, what's your marketing piece on that? I always stumble a little bit, that was interesting, Doug, that you hosted a Zoom session on what this could be, and then people came to that. But Wendy, what did you guys do? Is it a sort of in the newsletter, like, hey, want to be a pen pal? Or
so we were lucky in that our first event was to do it in we did it as a commercial at an in-person event, where we had a big turnout. Our Thanksgiving meal had 80 people. So that was where we handed out the flyer, sign up, do you want to do this? We had, a little promotional flyer. And we got enough people that first time, but then it was word of mouth. people really would talk about it. They'd mention it to their friends. And so when we started it up year 2, it almost doubled in size just because of word of mouth and other teachers getting involved and stuff like that. And then I signed up. It's like, oh, you guys love it so much. Let me find out. Maybe there's a secret sauce here.
I mean, it seems like it's if you're doing it, you're gonna love it. I
Right.
thought that was interesting. Elizabeth had added after that presentation. She said she was surprised she didn't have that many members signing up, and I think what you've done doing it in person, that is a sort of snowball effect. Oh,
Right.
I'll do it. I'll do it. Well, I'll do it. And we're lagging there with our members. Like I'm not getting them through the newsletter.
Mhm.
I'm really getting them from person to person. That's where
Right.
they're engaged. So thank you.
Right. And, all said and done, it takes time. It doesn't take time on my part to be the pen pal person. It takes time on Noelle's part to be the interchange of letters. So, all the letters come to her. We had a volunteer who, printed out labels for her so she wasn't handwriting envelopes and stuff like that. She got all set up with supplies. She mails them out. She gets them back. She takes them, into the teacher. So there's definitely a workload for that, fulcrum. But for the individual people doing it, there's no work. It's not a heavy lift.
Wendy, did you guys make a guide about how to deliver that program, or do you just?
No, we didn't.
Was intuitive.
I mean, again, Noelle's involved in her school, so she's one of these people who's involved heavily with our village. She's, I think, either on the PTA or involved in the school. So she was a natural. She was the one passionate about this program. And even before it started, and she was going, no, I think this is a good program. I go, who really cares? And she goes, no, this matters. So, I said, oh, go ahead and do it if you want. That was my attitude. And it turned out just to really be spectacular.
Okay.
Lesson
That's
learned for me.
So she works in the school and she's involved in your village.
Yeah, I mean, I don't say that she works in the school, but she's associated with PTA.
Okay, that's very
Yeah.
helpful. Okay, and she does the legwork, the
Yes.
line work.
Right. The
I wonder-
exchange, the gathering of letters, the remailing, the sending, the blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Sure, she'd be willing just to send that sort of, the most efficient way she's discovered it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, between the PowerPoint slides or otherwise, if people want it, I'm sure she's more than happy to set up a little 2-pager on this is how we did it.
Okay.
Wendy, I'm kind of curious.
Christy, you're breaking up a little bit, so give it.
Had any reading?
Christy, turn off your video because we're not, your
I
sound.
know a lot of, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear me better now?
yes,
I've
yes.
been having.
So repeat your question.
Yeah.
We lied when we said we could hear her better.
Did any of the students had,
Oh,
Oh, no.
I think she knows, usually we are all getting that internet slow message, so I think she knows she's not coming through. When Christy,
Did she
you
put
weren't
the
coming,
question in the chat?
right,
Yeah.
did the students have trouble reading cursive? I
Yeah.
think, certainly what I do is I tend to try to print my letters. To make it easier for them. They are learning cursive, so they'll write to you in cursive, but there's also a lot of drawing that goes on back and forth. The most recent letter I got from my pen pal, he made a comic and, he had graphic, cells, and he had a whole storyline that he developed over 2 pages of a superhero being a pen pal. So they get past the cursive nature by drawing.
And Wendy, what age group are the kids?
I knew someone asked that. I think they're like 4th graders,
Okay.
maybe 3rd.
She said 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah, 4th and 5th. I'm sorry. I was looking over to my side. It's funny because we say they're 4th and 5th, and I sit there and go, oh, they're fourth and fifth, they should be, writing better, but this is school.
I think that translates to 10 and 11-year-olds,
Yeah.
something like that.
Right.
This is section 8 school.
Mhm. Any other questions on this? And if not on this, we've got, and not that we have to fill the time, but if somebody has a question on another subject, you've got a lot of people here to bounce it off. All right, then it looks like I'm going to be returning some minutes to your day. This was a great session. I know that watching it unfold, people got an enormous amount out of it, lots of ideas. Our little chat today was a great follow-up with people to get into more details in the weeds. If there's something that we didn't cover or that you want more information on, you know how to reach us, and we'll be able to respond. All right.
So much.
Thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much,
you
everybody.
very
Have a good
much.
day.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well.
Thanks. What do you call these cards with the star up here?
Real ID.
Good.
Hey, Mary Alice. We just broke up.
How's it going?
We just ended our breakout. So Kate and Christy, it's over right now. I'm just coming back to Mary Ellis to figure out how I'm supposed to deal with my recording.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye. So,
Yes, I'm sorry it took me a second to get you.
no. And I
Jeff, then.
didn't think of it. I didn't think of it immediately on getting on, so not a problem. But it's going to be interesting if I can find my recording. That'll be my next game.
Yeah, for some reason I don't think it lets you record to the cloud from a breakout room.
So it's going to be on my computer somewhere. That'll be fine.
Yeah, let's ask Google before I start saying things that I'm not totally confident about.
I learned something. Well, you Google and I'll tell you what I learned the other day.
About Zoom?
No, about my phone. So someone had been telling me on my iPhone that they couldn't leave a voicemail message. And I felt like one of our members, your voicemail box is full. So I said, I had no idea. Thank you for telling me. And one, I was annoyed that the iPhone didn't tell me it was full. But once I learned it was full, I deleted messages. Well, then later in the day, someone continues to tell me I can't leave you a message. So I went last night and it turns out that they were all sitting in a deleted folder. And I had to delete the deleted folder before I opened up voicemail message capacity.
So frustrating.
I was such a classic, member, like your voicemail is full, but I fixed it. No, you didn't.
No, I think that feature is confusing. I like if you've deleted them, why not
Have to
just
double delete? Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it looks like so it takes some time to convert the recording, as you probably know. And then you ought to have a Zoom file or folder. And then it says it'll just open when it's done. So you'll be able to see it without having to go searching. But either way, I think just by nature of having Zoom on your computer at all, it should have a folder.
Gotcha.
Is that helpful, or is that?
Yeah, no, it is. And you probably can stop your own main recording at this point. Maybe
It was Carolyn who was doing the main
she was doing the
room
recording. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you'll probably, I'm not, I could do it, but I'm not, it seems that I could do it. There's a pause/stop recording button on my machine.
Oh, that's funny. I don't see that. Well, I say go for it then. I mean,
I'm gonna pause.
meeting's
Let's
done.